Hi, thanks so much for joining me. Today we are talking all about evening out skin tone. I have discoloration on my skin from previous sun damage, so if you suffer from anything like that, you might be interested in this. I like my skin to look like skin. I don't want it to look like I have a ton of makeup on, and I also don't want to change the color of my skin, if that makes sense. Sometimes when I add too much concealer, it changes the tone of my skin. If you've tried this before, you may have experienced that. So I want to do some color correcting, but stay very close to my natural skin tone. I'm going to walk you through a process that I have found to be quick, efficient, it lasts all day, and I'm going to show you a couple of steps you can take and then take it further if you want. So I'm going to start with 2 products on top of my skin, and then you'll see also what it looks like when I get to this step. And it doesn't take that many more steps. But if you have found it to be as frustrating as I have, because I have found it to be really time consuming, really frustrating sometimes, I think I found a way to cut down on time and make sure it still looks good. If I didn't have discoloration, I probably actually wouldn't wear foundation, but I do, and I want to make sure I get that SPF in there, which this process includes. It includes a couple steps of SPF. So if you are looking for that as well, please keep watching, and I hope this helps. So you can see I do have some discoloration here, here, and here, all sun damage from previous exposure when I was younger. I do wear sunscreen every day now, but it's kind of too late for what happened here. Those are the things I'm dealing with. I do have a few little acne scars from just minor breakouts, which will go away. But these, however, do not go away. I'm going to start with the Color Science Even Up. It is a brightening, correcting, and protecting formula. I've talked about this before. It's got SPF 50. I don't like this alone, and you'll see why. It's very light. But I do use it to my advantage to blur the discrepancy between the 2 colors, the regular color on my face and the discoloration. I am pretty liberal with this. It helps with the sun protection, and it also helps to even out. I do bring it under my eye like this because it makes concealing a little bit easier under the eye. What I mean is that I don't have to add as much concealer. I will go sometimes without even adding concealer here because that's how well it balances out the color. And that was just 1 pump on this side. Yeah. It looks a lot worse on camera than it does right now because the light is reflecting off of it. Let's just repeat it on the other side. It smells a little bit like cedar, like the inside of a sauna. I typically do this before my eyebrows, but I just wanted to get my eye makeup on first, so I had at least something on. I'm just going to keep working that into the skin. And I will let this sit for a minute or 2 before I go in with the next step. I am looking at this through the viewfinder, and it looks really different. Maybe this has to do with some of the components that are in here to even up the skin. I think the fact that it covers up my skin is the reason why it does help with the discoloration. I'm going to take the By Terry Cellular Rose Brightening CC Serum and take 1 pump to start with. So I've got 1 pump, and this is in Sunny Flash. Just patting that on to the areas that are the most discolored first, and then sweeping outward. Right away you can see my natural skin tone is returning, and we'll bring that under my eye as well. Just dotting on the areas with the most discoloration and sweeping it out from there. Just getting another pump. This product has a very subtle rose scent to it, but I like it. I don't usually like floral scents. Now this looks much more natural in the mirror right now than it does from your vantage point. I'm looking in the viewfinder. It does look a little bit more pink, but you can see that the darker areas are not nearly as visible as they were without these 2 layers on. Plus you get the SPF in there, and then you get the By Terry beautiful Sunny Flash tint on there. So what's really happening is you're getting the blurring effect twice, once with the Even Up and then once with the By Terry. And if I let that sit a little bit longer, it will meld into my skin tone better. I'm just taking a little bit more of the By Terry product, and I am applying it to the darker areas to blend the dark spots in a little bit more. And really that's it. This is what I do for every day. If I don't have time, I just do those 2 steps, and then I feel like I have my sun protection, and also those discolored areas are not as apparent. You can still see them a little bit, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be flawless skin every day, but it does help to just make it less distinct. If I could just go with the Even Up, I would, but it does still look like the wrong color on me. It doesn't become invisible on my skin, so I do have to follow up with a By Terry. I think if you have skin that is close to this color, I think that would work really well for you, but I do have to follow up. So that's another step you can do. Now there are a couple things that you can do if you want to intensify this. One is to add the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder on top of it. I do use the shade Radiant Light, or you could go in and do a foundation or another CC cream on top of this to add more coverage, and then follow up with concealers. I will do that to perfect this overall look, but I did want to show you what you can do if you don't have time, or if you don't want to take the time, because sometimes it is really kind of time consuming to go through this and make everything look perfect. I'm gonna add a few more things like foundation and concealer, and then contour, blush, and powder, and I'll be right back. I did want to show you what I do when I add foundation and concealer. I went ahead and added the IT Your Skin But Better CC Plus in Rich, and this has SPF 50 as well. For concealer, I go ahead and add a little bit of medium under the eyes, and I mainly focus it just on the dark area. I don't really do a triangle. Brighten that up a little bit. I use a couple of colors. This one's in tan, and I dot on those areas that are still a little bit visible just to perfect it. I've got a beauty blender, dampened. I'm going to press that into the skin. If I see that there's still a bit of discoloration, I'll add a little bit more. I really do concentrate it in the area that needs it, and I just bounce the beauty blender and then soften the edges. I'll spread out the remaining concealer around it to even everything up. I'll go ahead and add some powder, bronzer, blush, highlight, and I think that's it, and I'll be right back. And I'll show you all the items I followed up with. I have the Retouching Powder by Bobbi Brown. It has a very nice peach tone to it, which also color corrects those dark areas. So I put that on first. Then I went in with my trusty Hourglass Finishing Powder in Radiant Light. It is just beautiful. Love this so much. So I have two powders on. Then I went in with the Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow number 50. And I use that as a bronzer slash contour. I really like the texture of this. Then I followed up with the Hourglass Radiant Bronze Light, another bronzer, just to warm it up a little bit more around the perimeter of my face and under my cheekbones, and also my forehead. So if it looks like I'm more tan, it's really right here that makes the biggest difference. I don't know what it is, but if you just add a little bit here at the top of the forehead, if you have enough room up there, then it really gives the appearance that you are more tan than you are. Finally, I used the NARS Blush in Luster, a really subtle peach blush with a golden shimmer to it. It's very subtle. Then I used the Kiko 208 eyeshadow as highlighter. And that's it for the additional products that I put on. So I hope that you learned something from this video if you have some of the same issues as me, because if you do, then you know it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, and like I said, it can be frustrating. If you have ideas yourself that you can share with viewers, because I know people read the comments below and so do I, if you can share them with me, I would love it. Love to try those things. And if you learned something, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. As well, SPF 50, and it's a 3-in-1 patented, what is on my lip? If you are challenged by for highlighter, I use the Kiko 208. It's a highlighter. No, it's not.